Somebody's rearranging furniture somewhere nearby me in this hotel.
Fun.
Ghosts?
We can't hear anything, so you're good.
Fantastic. Let's party then. Welcome to the RPGBOT.Podcast. I'm Randall James, and with me is Tyler Kamstra.
Hi, everybody.
And Ash Eli.
Oh, well, it just so happens that your friend here, he's only mostly dead. Not all dead. See, there's a difference between mostly dead and all dead. Mostly dead, he's still partially alive. Now, all dead, well, there's only one thing you can do.
What's that?
You go through his pockets and look for loose change.
Is that the line from the movie?
Yeah.
Billy Crystal.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that.
Billy Crystal, my friend.
It's so fantastic. Yeah. All right, Tyler, what's happening?
Tonight, we are going to talk about death mechanics.
Woo!
I'm really excited. I'm dying to talk about it.
And so it begins.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about death mechanics, and I want to start by saying we do have an episode in the backlog on death.
Handling player.
In that episode, we didn't actually talk a lot of...
Yeah, like handling when your character dies, yeah. I think, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't about the actual mechanics of death.
Yeah.
It was about, like, okay, character is dead, what now? So we're going to talk about the mechanics of dying. So your character hits 0 hit points. Everyone at the table looks around at each other and says, we're level 12. This has never happened to any of us before. None of us know these rules off the top of our head. Someone grab a rule book, figure it out. So, hey, we're going to set things straight. We're going to look at things past and present. And yeah, we're going to try and answer some questions.
Hey, joke's on you. Everybody says that it's really hard to kill players in 5th edition. I killed 2 of my players on Monday. Woo!
Hey!
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a very hard won battle. I tried so hard to kill them so many times, and it finally went through.
Oh, you're playing Planescape.
Yep.
Okay, this makes a lot more sense all of a sudden. It's like I'm imagining it's not actually. I don't. People at home, I don't know if you ever thought about this. Like maybe you haven't DM'd. It's not actually hard to kill the players. It's hard to kill the players and also not be a complete jerk.
Oh, see, I relished it.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, you finally gotcha. You're dead.
That's part of the fun of the Planescape adventure is dying.
Yeah,
I've decided to come back as a centaur.
It's kind of liberating to be able to kill my players without all of that guilt, you know? It's just like, yeah, you're fine. You'll come back.
So let's talk about death in RPGs. The way death works can say a lot about a game. It can tell you a lot about the tone of the game. Who are your characters in this game? How strong are they expected to be? What are they expected to do? In a game where death is rare, impossible, difficult, any of those things, your characters are very much heroic, strong, meant to face dangerous things, come out on top. In games where death is random, easy, and can happen with one bad dice roll, you're less super heroic, more Merkborg, less 5e. So we're going to look at things like basically what happens when you start dying. What does dying look like? How do you recover from that? And what does all of that mean for the game and why is that important? So as usual, I'm going to start us in the Wayback Machine. We're going to look all the way back to 3.x again because the Wayback Machine does not go much further back than that, tragically. Ash, you've played PF1, yes? Have you died in PF1?
Fortunately, no, but I came pretty dang close.
Okay. Fell unconscious, started dying that close, or...
Yeah, I was a few negative hit points away from being outright dead.
Negative hit points?
Ah, yes.
That is the correct reaction.
Welcome to Pathfinder. It's fun. You're going to love this system.
Yep. If you manage to fall to exactly 0 hit points in 3.x, you are disabled. This is a status condition that exists exactly here, and to the best of my knowledge, nowhere else. While you are disabled this way, you can take move actions on your turn. You can take one move action. Normally, you could spend your standard action, get another move action, so you could take two, but you get one move action. If you take a standard action of any kind, you take 1 damage, fall unconscious, and start dying, and you are utterly incapable of taking any other kind of action except for reactions. So, like, you can walk around, you could crawl away from danger, you could, like, hide in a corner, you can do those things, but if you try and fight, if you cast a spell, any of those things, you're on the floor.
Okay, I would need to ask questions about this. So first of all, I'm at 0 HP, but I'm exactly at 0 HP. I somehow lucked out and landed exactly there. Do I crumple to the ground? Am I prone? Or am I just like, the only thing I can do is turn and walk away?
The latter. Like, you're still standing, you're still holding your weapons, all of those things. You're like,
okay,
dying breath, last moment.
Okay.
You could,
So,
as long as nothing else hits you, you could be fine.
so it is literally the expression of like, nope, and just walking away. Okay, what if the one action that I take is drinking the health potion in my hand?
That's a great question. So it's a standard action to drink a potion, if I remember correctly, and I'm not 100% sure on that one. My memory isn't that good.
Is.
But cool. Fortunately, you take the 1 point of damage after you take the action, so you would drink the potion, get the healing, then take 1 point of damage.
And then not fall down and be dead. Okay, but if I did practically anything else, I guess healing spell on self, same game, I would get the benefit of the spell, but if I do anything else, basically if I'm doing anything offensive, if I'm trying to, like, avenge me and buff somebody, then I do fall dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I got
well,
it.
you don't fall dead, you just go unconscious.
I fall dying.
You fall dying.
And then it should be noted that that's only at 0 HP. So if you're -1, you're unconscious. You don't get that sort of thing.
Nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So unsurprisingly, because it's so hard to hit exactly 0 HP, very few people actually manage to do it, and most people just never run into that rule.
I have.
Because mathematically, it's just super unlikely. You have?
Yeah, well, the thing
weird,
is that because my DM, to make things a little bit easier for us, is we have these special creatures that we're bonded with that give us ferocity, which basically when we go into negative hit points, we become disabled rather than going unconscious.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you can also get that from the Die Hard feat.
Mm-hmm.
So like that is a thing that people can do to themselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I plan on almost dying a lot, so I better burn a feed for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're the tank, which one of the players is, they've almost died several times. So one time it was a retconned roll that was 5 points off because we realized we did math wrong, which was good because if those 5 points are factored in, they'd be dead.
Oh,
yeah.
That's lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That probably raises the question. Okay, there's negative hit points. When do you die if your hit points can be negative? The answer is 10. Negative 10 in 3.5. Pathfinder changed it to a negative number equal to your constitution.
Yeah.
modifier.
Yeah.
So it's pretty common to have like 14 constitution. So negative 14 is pretty typical.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense. And your con modifier or your
con score? Your con score.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, that makes more sense. I was like, 14 is a mod. Like, I've heard the numbers were crazy, but
yeah, I've seen. Yeah, it's possible.
It is possible, but that's kind of absurd even for Pathfinder.
Okay.
Yeah. So negative 10, negative 14, whatever, that gives you a really, really tiny window where you can be safely unconscious and dying. In games 3X in PF1, the number scale was a lot larger than 5e, so the damage numbers were considerably higher. So it was very easy to shoot right past that tiny window of dying and go straight from perfectly fine to completely dead in one hit. That tiny little window, if you got lucky and were just dying instead of dead, a lot of times you're like, I'm going to set out the rest of this combat. I'm going to consider myself very fortunate, and you guys can pick me back up when you've mopped up all of the problems.
I've learned my lesson. I'm going to lay here and cry.
To get a good sense, the amount of damage that could be done, the numbers that were being thrown around. I recently played 11th level campaign in Pathfinder 2. I would say the numbers that were being dished out in that are about equivalent as to what I've been experiencing in my Pathfinder 1 game, which is currently at level 8. It's not uncommon to get like 30 damage in one hit. of like a basic attack. So
Yeah.
going unconscious is usually, okay, cool, I'm dead.
Yeah.
It's essentially how it goes, but sometimes you get lucky.
If your character is dying, like you're in negative hit points and actively dying, it's very simple. Every round you lose 1 hit point. And depending on where you fall in that hit point window, you have some timer of, varying length. You might have as many as 10 rounds, you might have 1 round, in which case you better hope somebody heals you. If your character stabilizes, you stop bleeding out, you remain unconscious, and if you're unconscious for like an hour or whatever or something like that, you wake up with 1 hit point. So you can recover from this as long as you're not dying, but the issue is you can't stabilize by yourself. If you're used to 5e, if you roll successes on your death saves, you can stabilize and eventually you'll wake up. If everyone in the party falls to -1 hit points at the same time, you're all dead. That's it. Game over. There's no recovering from that. No one is going to wake up and save everybody else miraculously. It's not going to happen in 3.5. As long as someone is awake and has access to healing potions to rescue you, the party is probably fine, but that's not always a thing.
Okay, I want to be very explicit. So as somebody who's primarily spent time in the 5e realm for Dungeon Fantasy, what I'm hearing from you is there's no saving throw. Once I'm negative, I don't have a turn except for to write -1 and then pray.
Correct. You have no agency
okay,
you have 0 agency in your own death.
I mean, okay, that feels right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't hate this system. Like it feels like it would be, like you said, it's super punishing, but if you took the damage scales of 5e and the only thing you did in 5e is substitute these rules, it wouldn't be that much harsher of a game, I don't feel like.
No, but the problem was that the damage scalings weren't on 5e, so it was.
Well, I get it.
It was brutal and really easy to die. It was definitely an improvement over OSR, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you reach 0 in like the 1st and 2nd edition, you were just dead.
Let's see. So the healing also didn't work like it does in 5e. Like you still healed from whatever negative value you were at. So if you're at -9, you're about to die, cleric runs over, hits you with cure light wounds. You heal for 1d8 + 1, and you're healed for 8, and you're now at -1. You're stable. You're no longer dying, but you're still at -1. And I don't know, cleric might not survive to see another turn. In combat healing, much like in 5e, was generally frowned upon unless you were casting heal, which was almost always enough to get everyone back to full hit points. Dying was dangerous. You didn't want to be unconscious, but it was a lot better than being outright dead. And if you were laying on the ground bleeding out, enemies were unlikely to go kick you in the shins, because if I just ignore that person, they're not a threat to me. They won't get back up and they will bleed to death.
Yeah.
Unlike in 5e, where it's like, if they're just dying, they might get back up and kill me.
Yeah. The one positive I can say that Pathfinder 1 system has over 5th edition is that you don't see a lot of this, well, you still have 1 hit point, you're fine sort of thing, which kind of, I get why it's a thing in 5e. Gonna be honest, it drives me crazy. It's like, I realize that I'm still okay at 1 hit point. Can you please heal me? But being close to 0 in Pathfinder 1 was incredibly dangerous. If you were unconscious, people dropped everything to try to heal you. Or if you were getting close to that point, people would be like, okay, we need to heal you, because all it takes is 1 just average hit and you are dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's the interesting thing about keeping everything on that continuous scale. The idea that 5 is just as dangerous as 4 is 3 is 2 is 1 is 0. The difference between -1 and 1 really isn't tremendous. What's likely to kill you at 2 is the next hit. I mean, honestly, I'm going to make this assertion, and it sounds like what I'm about to say is right. I would almost rather be at -1 health than 1 health, because -1 health, you're probably going to, the BBG is going to leave me alone. The bad guy's going to leave me alone. 1, the next hit's going to kill me.
Oh yeah. Yep, that is.
Yes.
And you
absolutely.
And you take that to what we have now, where it's and we're going to get into details of this later, but essentially you're literally moving into a different state. So I was on this continuous scale. I hit 0, and now my world is a completely different place.
Well, you also have to factor in Pathfinder, a lot of monsters when they do full round actions can have like 5 to 6 attacks. It's insane to the point where you don't realize you're dead until they've finished their round of attacks. It gets brutal real quick.
So Randall, you did hit a really good point that being at low health, super dangerous. And Ash, yeah, you hit it too. Generally, everyone figured out how to walk into fights at full hit points every time. The trick that everyone leaned into since like early 3.5 days is just buy a wand of cure light wounds. They're super inexpensive beyond low levels, heals you for 1d8 plus 1, 50 charges. So like, yeah, you'll just go through the wands pretty frequently over time. And the higher level you get, the more of these things you have to buy and burn through. But it was the least expensive way to get back to full hit points in the game. And it meant that as long as you still had charges in the wand and everybody else's daily resources still stuck around, spell slots, etc., you could keep adventuring. So it wasn't like, we had one encounter where somebody got hurt real bad. We don't have to go take a nap. We can just grab the heal stick and bap, 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 bap. You're healed. All right. So we're now exiting the Wayback Machine. We're going to look at some more recent games. Merkborg is a fun one to talk about, just as a like wild departure from how death and dying works in 5e. Randall, we played a game or two of Merkborg. I can't remember. Did anybody die?
No, we actually magically managed to keep everybody from dying, and I think your character had like 2 HP.
Yeah.
I think we did it wrong, honestly.
Probably.
Yeah. Or we didn't do it long enough. That's probably the real answer. It was a fairly short session.
Yeah, it was a good time. I had to go back and remind myself exactly how the Merkborg rules worked. If you manage to fall to exactly 0 hit points, something fun happens. If you fall into negative hit points, you're just dead. Done. But if you hit exactly 0, your character is broken, quote unquote. You roll a d4 and something fun happens.
Yeah. My favorite thing of this is that the best possible outcome on that d4 is you're only unconscious.
Yeah.
And then it gets worse.
Yeah. 1, you're unconscious, you wake up in a little while. 2, you're unconscious and lose a body part and wake up in a little while. 3, you're unconscious, you wake up in a little while, but you're hemorrhaging blood and you die in like D12 hours. And then D4, you know what? You're just dead already. Just do not pass go. Skip straight to dead.
Yeah. Steph in the chat asked, do you get to pick the body part? If I remember correctly, you rolled on a table for what the body part was, or at least they gave you a table of limbs that you could roll on.
Let's see. So I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, there's a table. 6, it's an eye. 1 to 5, it's a broken or severed limb.
Yeah. Imagine becoming broken twice and rolling the eye both times. It's like, you know what? I'm going to retire in this hellscape. I'm waiting for the world to end anyway. I'm going to do it right here. Yeah. Okay. So a little bit similar. I want to talk about Vysen. Yeah. It's a little bit similar to what Merkborg is doing. I think it's interesting because it's more discrete, like what we have in 5e. Essentially, you have 2 pools of stats. You can take physical injury or mental injury. And once you can take kind of 3 bullets of injury, you get less effective, either 3 bullets in physical, 3 bullets in mental. When you take the 4th injury in either physical or mental, you roll on a D66 table. So you're going to roll 2d6, and then you're going to pick something off the list. Now, the cool thing is half the list for physical cannot result in death. So you're going to be broken. You're going to get a long-term physical disability to come with it. But half the time when you're broken physically, you're not going to die from it. The other half the time, you're typically going to have 1d6 rounds of combat to deal with whatever the issue is, or you are going to be dead.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then there's methods for treating these things. You can get out of it. And so again, killing a character, first of all, making the choices to be broken, depending on what kind of session you're running, it's going to be kind of low. Like up front, you're essentially going to be using that damage to gamble. I'd like to push a roll. I'd like to try something again. I'm going to take injury that way. Then you're going to get to the situation where you're actually dealing with the Vysen. Let's say you pushed it a little bit too far, and now you take a physical injury and you're risking death. Similarly, on the mental side, you can effectively be mentally written out, right? And so to give examples, and again, half of them won't leave you mentally unfit. they will just leave you with something like, oh, now I have nightmares. Now I'm a compulsive liar. Now I'm skittish in certain situations. And all of these things are going to have mechanical impact. Half of them will leave you unable to continue as a character. Essentially, you're mentally permanently broken.
Jeez.
Well, on that note, let's talk about Call of Cthulhu real quick, because they also have physical and mental death. Obviously, the mental one, I'm not going to go too much into. It's the sanity stuff. If your sanity reaches 0, you're basically permanently committed and your character is essentially dead. Dying in Call of Cthulhu is also really easy, especially in Classic. Rather than Pulp is easier, but I'm not going to talk about Pulp right now. It's easier to survive, I should say, in Pulp Cthulhu. But in Call of Cthulhu, it's really easy to die. If you reach 0 and you have a major wound, which classifies any hit that does more than half your hit points, which, considering we're dealing with single digit most of the time hit points, that's pretty common. So if you reach 0 and you have a major wound, you are considered dying, in which case you have to make a con roll every round or you just die. If any one of those con rolls fail, you're instantly dead. The only way to prevent this is for someone to use the first aid skill on you, which does stabilize you and give you 1 temporary hit point. Unfortunately, you're not out of the woods yet, because now you have to make con rolls every hour. If any of those rolls fail, you immediately go back to unconsciousness and start dying and have to make con rolls every round again. So the only way to prevent that is to first use first aid to stabilize someone, and then use medicine roll on them to get them out of that sort of condition and let them uncheck the dying box, essentially. At that point, I mean, you gain 1d3 extra hit points, but since you only recover hit points at a rate of like 1 per week, I hope you're happy with what you have.
It'll probably last you the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask a question about this. So that con save, if I remember correctly, in Call of Cthulhu, right, it's a D100 system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have some number assigned to it, and I'm essentially trying to roll under.
Correct.
We also had this idea of like the half roll and the 1/5 roll. So I had 3 values for every stat, which was, half the value and a fifth value. Which one of those numbers are we rolling? Is it the easiest or is it the hardest con roll?
It's the easiest. So any success counts.
Okay,
it's only a failure that counts as you dying.
Do you get any benefit for rolling a better success?
Nope.
Won't.
Having a high con makes it so that you're definitely less likely to die. But
I don't want to risk it, though.
Yeah. Here's the other catch. So not only do you not get that many hit points back, and not only does it take you a while to heal, after you use first aid on someone, they can't be the target of first aid for several hours.
So if they fail one of those con rolls to drop back into needing it, they're hosed. Good luck.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Basically, the implication is once you've stabilized a person, if you don't have the medicine skill or the necessary supplies, take them to a hospital immediately. Which, is kind of true to life. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, those are terrifying. Okay, so let's take a look at 4th edition. How about that?
Boo.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is a weird one. So 5e's death rules are taken from 4th edition. There's a lot of things from 4th edition that made their way into 5e, including the death rules, sort of. They toe this really weird line between both 3.x's dying rules and also 5e's dying rules. So if you fall unconscious, you start making death saves. Natural 20, you pop back up. You do have to spend a hit die, which is weird.
Okay, that's familiar, though.
You pop back up, you heal from 0.
You're out of hit die.
Yes. It does still count as a success on the save, though.
Okay.
On the death save. So, like, if that gets you to 3, you're at least stable.
Okay.
So 3 successes, you're stable. 3 failures, you're dead. It's the same math. 10 and up is a success. I don't think natural 1 counts as 2 failures in 4e, but I might have that wrong. That's all pretty much exactly the same as 5e, except for spending a hit die to heal from 0.
Yeah, that feels familiar. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now where it gets weird is, in addition to the death save system, you also have the negative hit point system from 3x.
Okay. So I have 2 dimensions of death, and I have to deal with both of them simultaneously. Do I have to die in both? Is it or and?
No, it's or.
Oof.
And now the window for negative hit points is considerably larger. It's half of your hit point maximum.
Okay, that's not so bad.
Yeah. So like it's way less scary than 3x. You're much more likely to die from failing death saves, but if you're in negative hit points, you're dying. If you take more damage, you get an automatic death save failure, just like in 5e.
Okay.
If it's a critical hit, you get 2, just like 5e, and you take the damage. It's a hat on a hat. The 2 systems, you could have either one of them and they'd be perfectly fine, and having both of them is kind of a pain.
Yeah, that's weird.
The one thing that I'll say that I think would be a positive in that is like it's adding to the drama, for instance, if you do take additional damage, because it's like, I've got to mark this pip, and then I got to do the math, and then I got to tell the party it's getting worse, versus just like, okay, you got hit. Okay, yeah, that was a crit, so you'll take 2 pips. You have 1 left. Okay, cool. Next turn. And like we just keep going,
Who's got healing word this time? What's really weird is the rules for dying, at least on my, like, I grabbed my 4th edition player's handbook. Look at me. I went and read it. I couldn't immediately find the text on what happens when you heal while dying. So I don't know for certain if you heal from 0. I don't know if you need to heal up through the negative numbers like you did in 3x. So like, I don't have perfect clarity there, but just the fact that there are those 2 parallel dying tracks, super weird. But at the same time, it's also kind of neat to look at it and say, like, okay, how would they have updated 3x's dying system? It's just, half of your hit point maximum instead of negative 10. And Randall, you were saying like you could port the 3x rules into 5e and it worked just fine. I'd say, if you just do that with the negative cap at half of your hit point maximum, I think that would work great in 5e if that's what you wanted.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, definitely.
All right, let's talk about 5e.
Yeah, finally.
Well, you just described half of it, or you described the whole thing with extra. So let's party.
I kind of did, yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about just the basics of how it works. We're going to talk about the implications a bit more too, because the fact that it is really, really hard for players to die in 5e has been one of the longstanding criticisms since the 2014 PHB, and the death and dying rules are why that is the case. As everybody's familiar with, there's no negative hit points in 5e. You can take damage beyond 0, but unless it's enough to outright kill you, it's just ignored and it's a failed death saving throw if you're already dying. If you take enough overflow damage to get to negative half of your hit point maximum, or if you're unconscious and you take that amount of damage, then you die outright. That's all very familiar, very sensible, but it's mostly about the death saves. We're all familiar. 3 success stabilized, 3 failures, you die, natural 20, you get back up, 10 up on the d20 roll is a success. There's some weirdness here since death saving throws are a saving throw. Bonuses to saving throws do still apply. You can't be, I shouldn't say can't. You generally can't be proficient in death saving throws. The monk is the exception.
What?
Death saving throws, they're not a constitution save or anything.
Yeah,
they're just monks get a feature that gives them proficiency in all saving throws.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
yes.
That makes a lot of sense. And so I'm never getting to add a modifier, but I could.
You get to add your proficiency
exactly.
bonus.
I should say I never get to add an ability modifier.
Crazy.
But I could add my proficiency.
I didn't realize
bonus
that. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Paladin's Aura of Protection also applies on death saving throws. Bonuses to saves like Bless and Resistance, those also apply.
Weird. I might have been unreasonably hard on my players because I never allow any of those ever. The only thing I've ever allowed a modifier to death save is if you use the sorcery point thing that wild magic sorcerers get, the bend luck. That's kind of the only thing that I've ever allowed.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Does Bless require a willing target?
They have to be an ally.
Okay,
yeah,
but
if
willing.
Bless is already on them while they're unconscious, it's a moot point. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, and kind of what I'm trying to think through is like, are there buffs that you would like to use that do apply to all saving throws, but you have to be willing? And then my question was going to be, if I'm unconscious and dying, am I willing?
Yeah.
By definition, unconscious creatures cannot grant consent.
But that
Okay,
is
there we go.
that is
Write that
interesting.
down.
Maybe I've been a bit too harsh on my players. but you know,
Yeah.
it's even if you
This-
factor out all of the bonuses to saves, I still have very rarely lost a player character. So I don't feel like I'm being that harsh.
Part of the reason that is, when you look at the rules and say like, oh yeah, 10 and up is a success, 9 and below is failure, it's 50-50 odds, right? The math is very slightly skewed in favor of the dying player. 10 and up is actually 55% chance to succeed. And natural 20, you get right back up. Natural 1 is 2 failures, but there's still a chance that you're alive after that.
Yeah.
Small, but it's there.
It's like a slightly weighted coin that you're getting to flip over and over and over again.
Exactly.
I do have a question. You can, like, I can take enough damage to just die outright, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, half of your hit point maximum. And if you're already conscious, it's the additional damage that would take you past 0 has to equal half of your hit point maximum.
Okay, and then if I'm not unconscious, if it's like I'm at 1 and then I get hit, it's like your full HP in 5e, right?
No, it's half of your hit point maximum plus your current HP. So like if you have 20 max HP, if you're at full health, if you take 30 damage, you're dead. If you're at 1 hit point, if you take 11 damage, you're dead.
I thought in 5e you actually had to go to a full negative HP.
No, it is. That is true. It has to be twice your max hit HP from 1 blow in order to outright kill you. So yeah, if you're at 1 HP and your max is 54, if you take 55 damage, then you're dead.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect.
You know, I went and double checked that rule just to make sure that I had it right. I had it wrong, and I corrected it in the show notes. I still got it wrong when we were talking about
That's why you have us here.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate being corrected.
So one of the big problems, and I mentioned this before, that I have with the 5e system is yo-yoing. That happens a lot, especially with the philosophy of as long as you have 1 HP, the last hit point is the only thing that matters. So one thing that you can do to get out in front of this, which I have toyed with using in the past, which Steph mentioned in the chat, is roll the death saves in secret. You can have the player, if that makes you uncomfortable, have the player who's dying roll their death save behind the screen, but they can't tell anyone. That makes it a lot more urgent as to what's happening, because previously, if everybody knows how many death saves you've failed and stuff, people be like, okay, well, you're fine, we can deal with that later. But now oh, sorry, Wing Lady said that, not Steph. I apologize. But now people don't know, and so they have to be like, is it worth it to like heal them? Is it worth it to fix this situation? And now suddenly being at 1 HP is a lot more scary when you don't know what the consequences will ultimately be.
The other thing, and I think we talked about this before, if it's an intelligent creature that they're fighting, especially if this creature feels malice towards the party, it is perfectly acceptable to have a creature attack a dying party member.
Mm-hmm.
I know it feels harsh. It feels like you are driving this character towards death. But if your party has that mental attitude, that's a great phrase. Yeah. If the players at your table have that attitude that, well, it doesn't matter as long as they've got 1 HP, that is a wonderful way to cure that very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially a petty or intelligent villain who knows your party's tendency to do stuff like that is going to be like, no, I'm double tapping.
Yeah.
The reason why I hesitate, and again, this is a problem I have with 5e, is that the most of the character deaths I've had to deal with are from me double tapping players. And regardless of whatever justification you make for the character, even if it makes sense, people get mad. People get mad at you because they feel like you're coming after them. And so that's, again, a problem I have with 5e. In order for death to have stakes, we have to sometimes double tap, but double tapping just makes it seem petty.
Yeah, I'm imagining Ash. It's like I feel like you did that intentionally. It's like, yeah, I did. I said your name twice.
Just do what I do. If you want something to be really extra super dead, set it on fire, and the fire will take care of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that applies in tabletop games too.
Sure does. So I'm gonna ask. We're gonna have a little rules debate because I don't know if there's actually an answer on this one. The description of the stable condition. So this is someone has used spare the dying or medicine kit on you while you're dying, or you've rolled 3 successes on death save.
Nobody has ever used a medicine kit ever in any game ever. Most people just ignore those words in the rulebook altogether.
Unless you have the healing feat.
You're not a person, you're a robot.
This is fair. Hey, yeah, unless you have the healer feat. Look, if you have a medicine kit, you can use it without any kind of training, and it has the exact same effect as the spare the dying cantrip.
Okay, that's fair.
So stable condition. A stable creature doesn't make death saving throws, even though it has 0 hit points, but it does remain unconscious. This is from the section on taking damage while stable. The creature stops being stable, so they take damage, they stop being stable, and must start making death saving throws again if it takes any damage. The ambiguous question there, do you start fresh on the death saving throws, or do you pick up where you left
Yes. And again, this is
yeah,
choose
exactly.
one.
A or B, and you said yes.
Sorry, I thought it was obvious which one I was saying yes to. They do reset.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now why?
Because that's just the way 5e has always worked. Whenever you are, I mean, whether it says that in the rules or not, I promise you, whatever table you go to is going to rule it that way. And that's the other problem that I have with 5th edition is that as soon as you are stabilized or come up from 0, all of your death saves are erased.
I'm going to make a semantic argument where I agree with Ash. Come with me. The phrasing is, and must start making death saving throws again, which implies you started once and then you are going to start again, meaning that I think it should reset. If the intent was that you would continue, I would say, and continue making death saving throws.
Yeah.
I agree with you for the exact same reason.
But again, people don't stabilize in 5th edition. I've never seen anybody stabilize anybody. Why are you stabilizing when you can? Why would you stabilize someone when you can heal them?
Yeah,
just I know they're unconscious.
It's the same
the potion down their throat.
Exactly. Unless you're a grave cleric, which even still, healing word is a bonus action. Unless you're out of spell slots, and literally that is the only way that you can do it. One time I've seen it used in a particularly epic way is a grave cleric had 2 people who were unconscious. He casted Cure Wounds on one of us, and as a bonus action, he casted Spare the Dying. I was like, that's pretty brilliant. I like that because it was a cantrip. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. That makes sense. That's the one time that is acceptable to use Spare the Dying.
Yeah.
What?
I see a confused look. Yes, it works.
No. I'm caught on something simpler. So Ash, the past tense of cast. You cast it?
I didn't cast.
One casted, one cast. I'm pretty sure.
Is it both? Are both acceptable?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Man, English is weird. English sucks. We're bad at conjugating.
I don't care. The question is casted or casted. I don't care. Can we move on, please?
Okay.
Yes. This is not a grammar podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
People want. Actually, they
So Pathfinder 2 then?
Yeah. Let's talk about Pathfinder 2. Okay.
I would say that Pathfinder 2 has probably my favorite death system in a dungeon fantasy setting. Surprise.
Okay. There's a lot about it that I like. I have a weird fondness for 3X's dying system.
Go outside.
I haven't died in PF2, so go outside.
Yeah.
Go outside, touch grass.
No, Pathfinder 1 is terrible. Anybody who thinks differently is wrong. Pathfinder 1 was terrible in terms of the death mechanics.
I'm going to stick with it. I would love to take Pathfinder 1 system into 5e.
Sure.
I think that would be a better death system for 5e.
Again, I'm okay with that. My problem is that the number scaling it was a system that was designed for a different game. That's the problem I have with it.
I'm with you. Okay.
So PF2, you fall to 0 hit points. You begin dying. Welcome to dying. It's great here.
Thanks, bud.
You are now dying 1. Dying runs on a scale from 1 to 4, unless you have Die Hard, in which case it's 5. Die Hard is both a feat and a Christmas movie.
The best Christmas movie.
Yes. While dying, you'll make saving throws. On a critical success, your dying value is reduced by 2. On a success, reduced by 1. On failure, increased by 1. On critical failure, increased by 2. If you reach 4 or, again, 5 die hard, you die. If you reach 0, you stabilize. After you stabilize, you lose the dying condition, but your wounded value increases by 1. So dying is replaced by wounded. And that is to tell you, you have fallen unconscious once very recently, and you probably don't want to do it again, because the more times you do that, the worse it's going to go for you. When you next fall dying, your starting value is 1 plus your wounded value.
Okay.
So if you're wounded 1, you start at 2. Wounded 2, you start at 3. If you're wounded 3 and somehow haven't died, if you fall unconscious, you hit dying 4 and you're outright dead, again, unless you have die hard.
Yep. It's a pretty brilliant way to avoid my least favorite mechanic of 5th edition, which is yo-yoing. I hate it. I hate it with a fiery passion. I want to take it outside and burn it.
Yes.
If you want to transplant this to 5e, I would say the best way to do it, death saves don't reset when you come back up. That's what I've done.
It's literally the same thing, right?
Yeah. That's what I've done in the past for when I'm trying to do like a gritty campaign. Your death saves don't clear out when you come back up. The only way to get rid of death saves is by a long rest.
Well, I guess I should say that's a little bit harsher because, for instance, if you had 2 failures already and somebody brought you back up, in this system, the first time they brought you up, you'd only actually go back to 1 failure. And the second time you'd be at 2 and the third time you'd be dead. But this is better. Honestly, this is better.
Yeah. Yes, it does. It does solve a ton of those problems. It makes the process of dying
cleaner,
much less predictable.
That's fair too. Okay.
Like you could go down to 3, roll a critical success, get back up to 1, and just like bounce around between like 0 and 4, and just bounce around in those numbers almost indefinitely, really. You might get lucky, you might not. Hopefully somebody comes to save you.
I will say Pathfinder also, I believe, I'd have to double check this, but if you take double your max HP from one source of damage, you're also just instantly dead.
If I get hit while I'm already dying, does it increase my dying by 1 automatically? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that makes sense, and I still like that as a system.
Yeah, it's 2 if it's a crit.
Yep. Okay, all right, and that makes sense as well. Is the saving throw a straight like D10 saving throw, 10 to 20?
Yeah, it's a flat check. So you roll a D20, and you're trying to hit above your saving throw value. So if you're at dying 1, you're trying to hit 11 or higher. If you're at dying 2, you're trying to hit 12 or higher, and so on and so forth.
Oh, okay. So it's not a finite yo-yo. It is a death spiral.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what it's intended to be. Now, they balance this out somewhat with the fact that anybody can treat wounds, which is something you're probably going to be doing between fights, to heal you. Or if you get any sort of magical healing, I believe it also gets rid of your wounds, but I have to double check that.
Magical healing does not.
Right. It's just the treat wounds. That's right. Yeah. So which takes about 10 minutes or an hour. Something like that.
It 10 minutes and then
there's feats
50-minute cooldown.
Yeah.
And then there are feats that would allow you to actually treat wounds in combat. And so if you were trying to run a system where like we have no magical healers, there's also feats that encourage that. Oddly enough, there's a link on for PF2, the medicine skill and associated feats. We'll put a link in the show notes. But I say that to say like you could actually treat wounds in combat. Be like, okay, get out there again.
I don't think Combat Medic actually removes the wounded condition. Like Combat Medic, the feat that lets you use healing in combat, it uses the dice roll mechanic of the treat wounds action, but I'm not sure that it actually removes.
You mean battle medicine?
I thought that it let you. Oh no! Yes,
battle medicine, not combat. Thank you, chat.
You patch up wounds, and even in combat, attempt a medicine check with the same DC as treat wounds to restore the corresponding HP. This does not remove the wounded condition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh that's no! Correct. Okay, well,
yeah. Wounded does not mess.
No, yeah. It's specifically designed to avoid the yo-yoing situation. So if you don't want your fellow players to die, you're going to have to pay attention to healing. Yes, you two clerics. I know that you got used to being the damage dealers in 5th edition. That is not your role anymore. Although I will say, if you are a cleric, even just casting heal, if you're fighting against undead, it does still do damage. So there's that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, right, exactly as you say, this prevents us doing the HP yo-yoing, but it's gentle enough that basically as soon as you're out of combat, as soon as things calm down, you can apply True Wounds and we're going to be good to go. Unless you suck at it. Then we're all going to laugh at you as I'm dying.
But yeah, as Steph says in the chat, it does make playing a healer a bit more rewarding than it does in 5th edition. Because of the multi-action system, you don't feel like you're just wasting your turn healing people. Like, you can do other things. And it does make you feel like you have a sense of power that you didn't in 5th edition. In 5th edition, being a healer feels like you're just performing maintenance. In Pathfinder, you're the difference between your parties being dead and being alive. So you're very important to the group.
Yeah, the number scale on the heal spell is also considerably better in PF2 than it is in 5e.
So much better.
Yeah. Oh, there's one more thing about dying that I always forget. Hero points. So hero points are PF2's meta currency. It is very easy to forget that they exist. You're supposed to begin every session with 1 hero point, and the GM is expected to hand out 1 hero point roughly every hour throughout the course of the session.
Yeah, I forget to do that.
It's so easy.
Yeah, nobody gives out meta currency. We should.
Yeah. So you can sacrifice all of your remaining hero points to automatically stabilize when your dying value would increase. So like if you're at dying 3 and you're like, I'm feeling lucky, I'm going to roll this death save. You fail again, you can burn your hero points and say like, nope, never mind, I would rather not die today. Instead, I choose to stabilize.
Oh.
So there is that insurance.
That's kind of weak. Like it's basically telling me keep that meta currency, don't burn it.
Yeah.
Because it's
keep 1 in reserve.
Yeah, it's a get out of jail free card. I don't love that. I'm not going to do that.
Reasonable.
Yeah, I tell people they can't do that. But I do allow hero points to do rerolls, which are almost as impactful. So, yeah.
Till you crit fail.
Hey, I gave you a chance.
Yeah.
I gave you a chance. I also do the same thing. I do that same thing in 5th edition. I give everybody a free point of inspiration per session, and it just works really well. So,
yeah. Okay, so I've got one more thing in the show notes for this. When the first printing of the player core came out pretty recently, and in the player core, the text of the dying rules has been changed. Now they put out errata like on release day changing this, but for like about 24 hours, the internet was all up in arms because it looked like they had changed the dying rules. The PF2 GM screen has an error on it that says, when you fail a death saving throw, your dying value increases by 1 or 2 on a critical failure, and your wounded value. So if you're wounded 1, you fail your death save, your dying value increases by 2, according to the GM screen. Yeah, so if you go down while wounded, you are toast. Like, more than likely you are going to die.
Die young and leave a pretty corpse approach.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. That's bad.
Well,
way too lethal.
Nobody intended that, right? Like that wasn't somebody's brilliant idea they snuck in. That was actually like a typo or a phrasing error.
No, they intended it.
That. Okay,
they intended it. I remember them talking about this, but then with the reprinting, they decided it was too brutal.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any of the official designers discuss it. My best guess when it happened was like, okay, somebody who was working on the project, like they were assigned the dying rules, and they looked at the GM screen and they were like, okay, well, this was the most recent printing of this text, so let's use that. Or maybe that's what they used at their tables because it was on the GM screen, so they just assumed like, no, it's supposed to say that, not what it does. Probably just a miscommunication. There's no errata for GM screens, so yeah, who knows? It was probably just a failure in editing, but I haven't seen a lot of people say that they prefer it that way.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
All right, we have a question of the week this week. This week, our question of the week comes to us from @Jungspliff. Do you think infinite polymorph should be a thing?
Oh,
now, this is Randall
no.
speaking. I think the first thing that we should do is explain to folks at home, what does Jungspliff mean by infinite polymorph?
I think they mean casting polymorph infinitely, in which case, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, polymorph is a spell we did a whole episode on Wild Shape and talked about polymorph extensively, so go check that out. Do I think infinite polymorph should be a thing? Generally, no. There is a 9th level spell for it called Shape Change. It lasts, I believe, an hour. Yeah, that feels like enough. It's a 9th level spell.
Polymorph is already an extraordinarily powerful spell. It doesn't need any help.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you don't. I apologize to anybody who feels like they don't get it enough. You're wrong. You get it plenty.
Look, you can be a Tyrannosaurus for 1 hour a day per spell slot, and that's going to have to be good for you.
It is way better than Moon Druid's whole shtick. The only thing that Moon Druids get over it is that they get to keep their mental stats. But as long as you point yourself in the right direction, you're going to be fine.
Steph in the chat is asking, do they mean true polymorph?
God, I hope not.
I didn't ask a follow-up question. So they might mean infinite as in infinite duration, or they might mean infinite as in infinite usage. So true polymorph can be permanent if you maintain concentration on the spell for the spell's full duration. It becomes permanent. So that lets you do things like, I'm a 20th level wizard. I would like to be an ancient silver dragon forever now, please.
I think that's
pretty great retirement plan.
I think that's fine, because it's not like you can turn back, because you also lose all of the spells. Yeah. So cool. You're now a dragon. That's awesome. You're not a wizard anymore. You don't get to cast any more spells unless you spend the time that you already spent to relearn them.
Well, yeah, you have a copy of Monstrous Races and you're willing to do that whole thing over again.
Yeah. Okay. So
that would be kind of fun, actually.
Steph says that dragons can cast spells. Some dragons can cast spells, and that is a variant. That is a variant rule.
I like dragon spellcasters, so all my dragons are spellcasters.
Yeah, I would say if you're trying into a green dragon, sure. If you're transforming into a white dragon, you're too dumb to cast spells. I'm sorry. White dragons are basically animals.
I love Tyler's assertion that basically his dragons are wizards too.
Yeah, sorcerers, please. They're born with
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah.
All hail the Leisure Illuminati. I'm Randall James. You'll find me at amateurjack.com and on Twitter and Instagram at jackamateur.
I'm Tyler Campstra. You'll find me on RPGBOT.net, Facebook and Twitter, RPGBOT.Net, and most other socials as RPGBot.
And I'm Ash Sheila. You can find me dying on Twitter or on YouTube at AshRaven Media. If you want to hire me to run one of your games, please find me on startplaying.games, link in the description.
If you've enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcast and rate us on Spotify or your favorite podcast app. It's a quick, free way to support the podcast and helps us to reach new listeners. You'll find links in the show notes. You'll find affiliate links for source books and other materials linked in the show notes, as well as on RPGBOT.net. Following these links helps us to make this show happen every week. If your question should be the question of the week next week, please email podcast@rpgbot.net or message us on Twitter at RPGBOT.Net. Please also consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can find all kinds of great rewards. At any tier, you'll get early access to RPGBOT content, polls for future content. At our $3 tier, you'll enjoy your choice of ad-free podcast episode or ad-free access to the RPGBOT.net. At our $5 tiers and above, you'll get both, plus access to the RPGBOT.Discord. You'll find us at patreon.com/RPGBot. All right, you got
we almost got him to crack. It was right there. You held it together. But
yeah.
Here's what I say. I didn't crack. Not all those words came out as written.
No,
they did not.
Is Randall having a stroke? What's going on with him?
All right, thanks. Appropriate soundtrack for both the episode and our dance move. Staying Alive.